Hello, here we are. Howdy, Joe. Oops. I got a text message there, but I'm not going to respond to that right now. Namaste, Ro. Oh, you two are chatting to each other. G'day. Hi, Ro. There we go. So it's Bhagavad Gita time. Got a couple other people on there that haven't said hello yet. And so that's all okay. It's Jeff. Hi, Jeff. And so we're on chapter 17 in the symbolism, day number 17 of the teaching of Arjuna. Arjuna has been through a lot. You cannot hear me? Can anybody else hear me? Well, let me come over here and open this up here and double check that I have sound over here, that I have sound. Hello? Well, let me, I'm going to, it is good sound. Raj can hear me. But that's funny, when I listen here myself, I don't hear sound. I don't hear sound either. And on my screen, on my Facebook Live, I'm frozen. Loud and clear. That's weird. It's not working even for me. Hello? I'm talking to myself, but I'm not hearing myself. Good sound now. It's strange. My computer is not giving me sound. I cannot hear myself talk. But I'm not hearing myself. Oh, now I can hear myself. Anyway, that's very strange. Good sound now. It's strange. My computer is not giving me sound. I cannot hear myself talk. Now I can hear myself. But I'm not hearing myself. Oh, now I can hear myself. Anyway, that's very strange. Good sound now. can't turn it off. Anyway, I have no idea why things are going so goofy here. I guess it's a form of pratyahara, huh? Jeff says. Hashim says it's good. Hi, everyone. Hi, Johnny. Cobber learned a new Aussie slang. Wonder what that is. You don't worry, we can hear it. You can hear me. Anyway, so we are going through the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17. The modes of conviction. Arjuna asked, those who sacrifice endowed with faith but abandoning scriptural injunctions, what is their status, O Krishna? Is it sattva or rajas or tamas? The blessed Lord said, the faith of the body bearers is of three kinds, born of their nature, which is sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Do hear thereof. Isn't this a great chapter on the three gunas? Everyone's faith develops according to his mind's essence, O descendant of Bharata. Thus the person consists of faith. Whatever one's faith, that indeed is he. The sattvic ones sacrifice to deities, the rajasic ones to demigods and the powerful semi-human beings, yakshas and rakshasas, others. The tamasic ones sacrifice to ghosts and to multitudes of other beings. Swami Rama explains in this chapter, Arjuna asked Krishna to describe the various modes of Shraddha. Let's see if there's another comment here. Hello, Jiao. The word Shraddha means conviction. The devotee reveres the object of his devotion with full conviction and faith. Human beings can be divided into three categories according to the predominance of sattva, rajas, or tamas. Arjuna wants to know which quality is dominant in those who have Shraddha, yet do not accept the teachings of the sages and the authority of the scriptures. Sri Krishna replies that the tendency of one guna or another to be predominant is a result of the samskaras that one carries from the past. In spiritual people, the sattva guna is predominant. Those who are active are motivated by rajas. Those who are inert, lazy, and dull, hi Joe, are under the sway of tamas. Couldn't resist. The opportunity was there. Had to make humor of it.
You're probably a lot more right than
the type of faith a human being has is in accordance with his natural disposition. The aspirant who has the sattva quality predominant in his life performs religious rites according to the teachings of the scriptures. What do we got here? More highs. Hi, everybody. One who performs religious rites under the sway of rajas worships the gods with desire to fulfill his selfish ends. The tamasic person also has faith, but he engages in superstitious worship. That class of people does not make efforts. Those of a sattvic nature devote their time and energy to doing good, whereas rajasic people remain active in fulfilling their desires, and those who are tamasic do not do anything. For although they have expectations and desires, they remain dependent on others. Those people who undertake terrible ascetic practices, which are not enjoined by the scriptures, conjoined with hypocrisy and ego, possessed of the power of attachment, those unwise ones weakening the group of elements in the body, and also me who dwells within the body, know them to be of demonic determination. Doesn't sound too good, does it? Those who are influenced by tamas are full of sloth and inertia, and always depend on others whom they expect to fulfill their desires. When they do engage in practices, those practices are distorted and reflect their obstinate natures. They sometimes practice severe penances that are contrary to the injunctions of the scriptures. For example, many such aspirants fast for several days to remove their mental blocks. They think that fasting will purify both their minds and bodies. They are obstinate and capriciously make up their own way of sadhana and suffer as a result. They are neither self-reliant nor do they rely on the teachings of the scriptures. They create suffering for themselves and for others. Such aspirants do not improve and are not fit to follow the path of spirituality. This is Bhagavad Gita. This is indeed Bhagavad Gita. One moment here. Physical mortification and extremism, such as too much eating, sleeping for long hours, and lying around engrossed in worries, is caused by tamas.
That describes a lot of people.
There's a lot of that going around, isn't there?
Like they're not even practicing anything.
The aspirant should create a balance in his day-to-day life. When one learns to observe his capacities and abilities, he does not go to extremes. But the student who torments his body, mind, and soul is not suitable for this path of spirituality. The favorite food of everyone is also of three kinds. So also sacrifice, ascetic endeavor, and charity. Listen to their distinctions. Those that increase lifespan, mental essence, strength, health, comfort, and pleasantness, that are flavorful, unctuous, stable, and satisfying to the heart, are the foods that are favored by the sattvic. McDonald's, says Joe. No, I don't think so. Bitter, sour, salty, excessively hot, pungent, dry, and burning are the foods favored by the rajasic, causing discomfort, depression, and illness. Not fully cooked, flavorless, smelly, stale, left over by others, not fit as an offering is the food favored by the tamasic. When one analyzes the behavior of aspirants, three distinct qualities are noticeable in their actions. Even when they offer gifts and charity, those who are sincerely generous and give and love others do charity without any expectation. But those who perform actions selfishly and do charity with the expectation of acquiring name and fame are rajasic and tamasic people. This makes it sound like the way to be sattvic, but doesn't the sutra state that they should be balanced? Yeah, but balanced with a dominance of sattva. So, for example, you want to have tamas to provide stability, Jeff. There's a positive aspect of tamas, provides stability. And you have to have rajas to get out of bed in the morning. It does require action. We have to do action in the world, and we need to have stability. And so a way of holding that is to say that you have rajas in service of sattva, or you have tamas in service of sattva, or actually you have both rajas and tamas in service of sattva. I hope that helps. We all know that food plays a great part in human life. The best selling of all books are not Bibles or other spiritual books, but cookbooks. Our eating habits in the modern world, both in the East and the West, create disasters in human life. The human being is obsessed with food, so much so that it seems that one is born only for eating. And it's worse in modern times. The people that keep track of these things that we're headed over the next couple decades to more and more and more and more obesity and heart attacks and all sorts of problems. Modern man eats many times a day without knowing what comprises a nutritious diet. Taste has become predominant instead of nutrition in the formation of our dietary habits. Artificial foods are increasing daily. We have lost the sense of food value, and we eat foods that are unhealthy. Food that is not fresh or nutritious, that is left over and full of spices or grease, is unhealthy. Overeating and eating unfresh food and food that is full of fat and spices create many diseases. The mind and body are inseparable. If proper food is not supplied to the diet, the mind is affected. Such tamasic food makes the mind dull, passive, and inert. On the other hand, rajasic food agitates the mind and creates hypertension. It is also unhealthy for the liver and hard on the kidneys. Rajasic food satisfies the senses, but it is not healthy physically or mentally. It is not healthy for those who want to tread the path of spirituality. Aspirants are advised that well-selected and well-prepared vegetarian food is healthier than a meat diet. That food which does not cause inertia and heaviness and does not make one restless, lazy, or sleepy is called sattvic food. Those who eat sattvic food remain calm, quiet, and serene. Those who eat rajasic food become agitated, angry, and worried. Those who eat impure food and drink liquor are tamasic. Those who eat heavy food, full of fat, and who drink alcohol excessively suffer both physically and mentally. Food plays an important role in thought, speech, and action. It has profound effects on all aspects of human behavior. Diet and environment are two important factors that play a great role in sadhana. A calm, quiet, and serene atmosphere and a simple, fresh, and nutritious diet are essential requisites for the sadhaka. That sacrifice performed according to scriptural injunctions by those not desirous of fruit, harmonizing the mind with the thought one must sacrifice, that is the sattvic sacrifice. With the intention of fruit or even of hypocritical purpose, the sacrifice that is performed, thus know it to be rajasic, O best of the Bharatas. Looking for the fruits of the actions. Against scriptural injunctions, without distributing food, without mantras, without priestly gifts, devoid of faith, with sacrifice is said to be tamastic.
Sure. Without priestly gifts.
I don't know.
They're expected to give priestly gifts.
It's a remember, it's a story. It's trying to give us a feel for what this is about.
Okay.
It's my take on it. Let's see what Swami Rama says about it. Sri Krishna explains that sacrifices performed in a serene way with even-mindedness and without any expectation of reward are sattvic. When one performs an action for the sake of others and dedicates the fruits to others without any desire for rewards, that action is true worship. Sacrifice means offering the best one has for the service of the Lord who dwells in everyone's heart. It is an offering to the Lord through action. Such an act performed selflessly is of a sattvic nature, and the scriptures describe such acts as supreme. By contrast, the sacrifices and actions that are performed with the desire to obtain a reward are rajasic, and those that are performed out of superstition and fear of spiritual injunction without a sense of giving or any consideration for others are tamasic. I mean, he's kind of making it clear, isn't it? Food industry doesn't help. Yeah, boy, that's the truth. Oh, good. Good, Jeff. Glad that helped. Many people in modern society have not developed an attitude of giving to and doing for others in a sincere way. Such people are often seen in psychotherapy. They are self-preoccupied and continually focus on their own trials and tribulations, worries, disappointments, and expectations. Rather than attempting to resolve their self-created conflicts one by one, if the therapist instead directs such people to turn away from their self-preoccupations and to develop a genuine concern for others, devoting their thoughts and energy to helping others, many of their problems would quickly dissolve and disappear. Such people have never been taught how to give, and if they offer anything, it is not with a deep and sincere feeling of love, but to receive in return. Modern therapists would do well to actively guide the thoughts and feelings of their clients toward giving to others rather than passively listening to and reflecting on the drone of their clients' self-preoccupations week after week, year after year.
Click, click,
click, click.
Yes. There was a psychiatrist, Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I have. Service to the deities, the twice-born, the gurus, and the wise men. Purity, simplicity, celibacy, and nonviolence are said to be physical asceticism. Speech that does not agitate, that is true, pleasant, and beneficial, as well as the practice of self-study and japa, is said to be asceticism of speech. Clarity and pleasantness of mind, peacefulness, silence, total control of oneself, purification of sentiments, this is said to be mental asceticism. Those three kinds of asceticism undertaken by humans with supreme faith when they are not desiring the fruit and are joined in yoga are said to be the sattvic ones. With the purpose of gaining respect, honor, and worship, and out of hypocrisy, the asceticism that is thus performed, temporary and unstable, is rajasic. The asceticism that is performed with stupefied comprehension and with pain or for the purpose of uprooting others, that is said to be tamasic. Sri Krishna describes three kinds of austerities. Austerity means refraining from the sense pleasures and from habits that are harmful to oneself and others. Austerities help the aspirant in preparing for spiritual advancement, performing selfless actions, and worshiping the Supreme Lord. Although a preliminary step, austerity is nonetheless important in all spiritual paths. The aspirant who has reverence for the yogis, learned people, sages, and wise men, purity of mind and heart, straightforwardness, control of mind, action, and speech, and who practices ahimsa, is considered to be austere. The power of speech has a profound influence on the human mind and heart. One who controls his speech, who does not talk ill of others, but speaks gently and never lies. His words are always beneficial and soothing to all. If the aspirant learns not to lie, he speaks the truth. And that truth which is greased with love is very helpful to others. What do we got here? Roz. Inspired to return transform attitude at work. I have a boss who is similar in age as I and is very hardworking and strives hard to bring about changes that are beneficial to the company as a whole. So inspired by your personal story, I am trying to do the best I can that my work is in support of my boss's endeavor. Good. It's quite a practice, isn't it? So in essence, trying my best to give away the fruits of my labor over to my colleagues and to my boss. Thank you for that. You're welcome for that. I'm happy to hear that that experiment is going so nicely, Raj. Teaching and interpersonal communication are carried on mainly through the medium of speech. The way we use words makes a difference. If the aspirant learns to speak truth in a gentle way, his speech will have an immense impact on the human mind and soul. But when the aspirant speaks only to fulfill his selfish desires or speaks that which is contrary to his thinking, he continually creates psychological barriers for himself. The Apta, the great man, speaks in accord with the way he thinks and acts. There is complete coordination in his inward action and speech. He never intends to hurt, harm, or injure anyone through his speech. Many people waste their time speaking nonsense, talking too much, and gossiping for no useful reason. In the first stage of practice, one should learn to speak little, speaking only when it is necessary. In the second step, he should establish regular hours of complete silence every day. And in the third step, he should determine not to lie. Austere speech is a great virtue. The practice of non-lying is important for many reasons. Those who speak lies are afraid and lie because of fear of not being accepted. But the power of speech is lost when one lies, and there is always a conflict in the mind. For one knows that he is lying, yet he continues to lie. Such people can never be known by others. They never prove to be good friends. They become victims of their habits, and then they lose the power of discrimination. The student should learn the distinction between external and internal austerities. In physical or external austerities, one should learn not to do that which is not to be done, and to speak the way he thinks, understands, and knows. Mental austerity is also very important. When one practices mental austerity, he maintains serenity and silence and remains vigilant toward his thinking process. He avoids entertaining those thoughts that are disturbing and dispelling. Both mental and physical austerities purify the aspirant and make him fit to follow the path of spirituality. These are called sattvic austerities. When the student purifies his mind, action, and speech with the help of sattvic strength, he attains the higher realms of life. Let's see what we got here. No, that's the same one. Nothing new. I thought I saw something new. There is another category of aspirants, those who are rajasic. They also practice austerities, but with the desire to be respected and to obtain honors from others. They want others to revere and follow them. Their austerities are engrossed with self-interest. Many athletes, dancers, and musicians practice austerities to gain name and fame. They are also motivated by rajas. Another group of aspirants is tamasic. Their thoughts, actions, and speech are directed toward hurting and injuring others. They are never concerned for others, but only do things to fulfill their selfish ends, regardless of how much harm is done to others in the process. These people lie, connive, and use others for their own convenience. They are very obstinate and egotistical, and they torture themselves and others in order to attain their selfish ends. Austerities are not introduced in the modern educational system. That is one of the reasons modern man becomes selfish and has no consideration for his fellow human beings. The kind of austerities that are introduced to children in religious schools are worse than none at all, for they create guilt, which haunts the child's inner being until the last breath of life.
he doesn't hold anything back.
No. That system of introducing austerity is based on fear, and the religion that teaches fear can never help one on the path to liberation. Religious schools suffer as a result of that serious error. They create guilt by introducing many don'ts without explaining their purpose or helping children appreciate the profound positive effects that self-restraint can have on the mind and body. Those who seriously pursue athletics, music, and other endeavors learn to practice austerities by sacrificing pleasures for their single goal. But such austerities are rajasic in nature. Sattvic austerity is seldom taught in modern life. One ought to give the charity that is given thus to someone incapable of returning the favor. That is given at the right place and time towards someone worthy. That charity is remembered as sattvic. That which is given with the purpose of gaining a return or aiming at a fruit or given with distress, that charity is remembered as rajasic. That which is given at an inappropriate place or time to those unworthy without respect or insultingly, that charity is said to be tamasic. These three verses explain the purpose of charity and why one should be charitable. When is charity useful and necessary in human life? For one who has attained knowledge, doing charitable work and giving gifts to others becomes habitual. It is a superb taste that one acquires after understanding that giving is one of the most profound ways to attain liberation. No human being can remain without doing actions, and every action produces fruits. If the fruits are not given to others, their binding force compels one to do more actions. Thus, the doer becomes lost in the jungle of action. One should learn to do his actions and give away the fruits to others. The aspirant who is aware that charity or giving gifts to those in need is a part of spirituality is called a sattvika. Those who give gifts and do charity with the expectation that it will be returned by providence are selfish people. They give with the idea of getting something in return and of having others praise them. Sometimes they do charity to maintain their social status, but they never give selflessly. Such people are rajasic. The gifts that are given in a tamasic state of mind are the lowest form of gifts. Tamasic people give out of compulsion and without joy in giving. They always want to receive gifts from others. These unfortunate people have never learned and enjoyed the law of giving. Demanding and expecting to receive from others becomes their nature. They have no sense of when, how, and where to give. Now, here we come. One of my favorite parts of this thing. Note here that we're coming to the end of chapter 17. By the time we get to chapter 18, everything has all come together, and it's about Arjuna's new life and going on forward with life. So in some sense, this is sort of the crescendo of the whole Bhagavad Gita. It's at the end of chapter 17. Om Tat Sat. Om, that is...
I heard that before.
You heard that before. Om, that is reality. that this is the threefold statement concerning Brahman. From this, the Brahmanas, the Vedas, and the sacrifices were produced in the ancient past. Therefore, all the sacrifices, charities, and ascetic acts of those proficient in the knowledge of Brahman, performed according to the ordinance, are commenced daily after enunciating Om thus. After enunciating Tat, that without the intention of the fruit, the sacrificial and ascetic acts and the various acts of charity are performed by those desiring liberation. The word Sat, reality, is used to express reality as well as goodness. Also, the word Sat is used to express a praiseworthy act, O son of Pritha. Stability in sacrifice, asceticism, and charity is also called Sat. Also, any act for the purpose of these is called Sat alone. When the aspirant understands the importance of sattvic austerities practiced with mind, action, and speech, and then learns to dedicate the fruits of his actions in order to attain liberation, he is the highest aspirant on the path of yoga. His mind, action, and speech are directed to the Supreme Lord alone. Verses 23 to 27 describe the way in which yogis and sages constantly remain conscious of the Supreme Lord. When they perform any duties or actions, worship or give gifts, they remember three words, Om Tat Sat. These three words have deep meaning. Om is the cosmic sound remembered by yogis during meditation. Follow the Om to the silence. It is considered to be a living force that represents the Supreme Lord. There are 4 states that can be realized by human beings. The first 3, waking, dreaming, and sleeping, are experienced by all human beings and creatures. But the 4th state is attained only by the fortunate few accomplished yogis. It is a silent state, the deepest and most profound state of perfect equilibrium. The sound Om expresses the knowledge of these 4 states of consciousness. The aspirant learns to utter this sound all the time before he talks to anyone and before he begins any work. And note here, remember that sitting right in the heart of the Yoga Sutras is what is Om. And what is the heart of all of those Upanishads? Om. What is it that the Mandukya Upanishad is all about? 12 verses is Om. If you've ever looked at Swami Rama's book, Living with the Himalayan Masters, you'll notice that the last chapter is entitled Our Tradition. And then in there, he specifically mentions the importance of the Mandukya Upanishad, which is on Om. Good action is also called Tat Sat. It is auspicious for the sadhaka to remember the words Tat Sat, for they remind him of the goal of his life. The word Tat means that which exists in itself, that, without the help of any other. And Sat means the absolute reality other than which nothing exists. The words Tat and Sat remind the aspirant of the self-existent glory of the Lord and of his benevolent kindness and goodness. Thus, Om Tat Sat refers to all that exists by itself without any second. Means there is no other. There's one absolute reality. There's nothing that is separate from that. These words are used by devotees, sages, and yogis for the Supreme Lord. An offering made, charity given, ascetic observance taken, or whatever act performed without faith is called asat, untrue, unreal, evil. It bears nothing, neither here nor after death, O son of Pritha. Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that the actions performed by yogis are selfless, done with absolute non-attachment and dedication to the Lord. They do these actions with perfect love and devotion as worship. The duties and actions that are performed with divine love and devotion are called sat. But there are those who perform their actions, do charity, give gifts, practice austerities, and perform religious ceremonies without divine love and devotion. The scriptures refer to these actions as asat, without sat. Such acts are neither healthy nor helpful and do not bear good fruits, for they are done selfishly. Selfish people are not happy in this world, and they remain unhappy in the life hereafter. They create misery, unhappiness, confusion, and delusion. Here ends the 17th chapter, in which love and devotion for the divine is contrasted with lust for the objects of the world. Om Tat Sat. It's kind of a fitting ending, isn't it? Om Tat Sat, huh?
When you knock on somebody's door, what do you say? Is anybody Om?
Is anybody Om? Anybody Om here? So there it is. Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat. And there it is. Thank you, Joe. There's the fancy one, the fancy Om Tat Sat from Joe. Thank you, Joe, for giving us the fancy Om Tat Sat. And whether we use a plain old Om Tat Sat or a non-written one at all, or a fancy Devanagari one like Joe did, it's still the same. Maybe it's a Roseanne simple Om Tat Sat. So you got practical, down-to-earth Om Tat Sat from Roseanne, and you got fancy, poetic, colorful from Joe. Not surprising at all, though, is it? Let's leave that one up. Just to celebrate, let's leave the fancy celebratory Om Tat Sat up there.
Which one?
It's there. You can hardly see it. Our screen is so small. The Devanagari one.
Oh. It's fine to me.
Looks fine. Looks fine to Joe.
Like Greek to me.
It looks like Greek. It's Sanskrit. It's called Devanagari script. You know that.
No.
The name of that script is Devanagari. Just like the name of the script that we use to write English in is actually called Roman. The letters of our alphabet are Roman script.
Okay.
But we don't give much credit to those Romans. So the Romans are gone, long gone. Anyway, so there we are, everybody. Next time we will do the last chapter, the last day of the teaching of Krishna to Arjuna. I love the fact that this thing is, that they say it's symbolic of 18 days of teachings. And I love the end of 17, that crescendo there. It's like the end of the movie in the theater where,
when the boy gets the girl,
the lovers live happily ever after, and the music score goes up, or the good guy wins and everybody's rejoicing and all that kind of stuff. This is it. This is it. All righty, so to be continued. See you, let's see, what's today? See you tomorrow, maybe, if we can connect. And thank you for visiting. Thank you for playing. Remember, you know what I'm going to say, right?
Nah.
Om Tat Sat. For meditation, follow it to the silence after the Om. The meaning of the Tat Sat is still there. The meaning is still there in Om Namah Shivaya, or Om Bhurbhuvah Swah, etc., etc. the meaning is still there. Okay. Thanks for playing, all. Bye-bye. In honor of the Dewey, of the Dutchies, Dewey Dewey. Dewey Dewey means Om Tat Sat, I think. Anyway. That's just my story, and I'm sticking with it. Om Tat Sat. Bye-bye, all.